Look at almost any modern commercial airliner or military fighter jet soaring through the clouds, and you are looking at the supremacy of Pratt and Whitney. Their roaring turbofans are the undisputed beating heart of global aviation. Yet embedded inside this aerospace empire lies one of the most unbelievable historical paradoxes in modern corporate history. Francis Pratt and Amos Whitney, the two men whose names are proudly stamped on these jet engines, never designed a plane. They never built an engine. In fact, they died long before their company ever reached the skies. Before Pratt and Whitney was an aviation giant, it was something far more foundational. Francis and Amos were master machinists who didn't conquer the atmosphere. They conquered something much harder, the exact inch. They built the ultra-precise tooling that made the entire Industrial Revolution possible, mass-producing everything from Civil War rifles to early automobiles. And then, in 1925, a dying machine business sold its iconic name to an outsider for $250,000, unknowingly handing over its own legacy to the heavens. This is the untold story of two mechanics who defined modern precision, only to be completely erased by the giant they created. The obsession with perfection. Our story begins in 1852, inside the industrial furnace of Hartford, Connecticut. Amos Whitney, a 20-year-old machinist from Maine, walked onto the assembly floor of Samuel Colt's legendary armory. Colt's plant was the Silicon Valley of the 19th century, a place striving toward a radical dream, manufacturing identical, interchangeable revolver parts. It was on this chaotic factory floor that Whitney crossed paths with Francis Pratt, a quiet, hyper-methodical artisan from Massachusetts. The two men didn't just share a work ethic, they shared an obsession. In the mid-1800s, global manufacturing was plagued by custom hand filing. If a part broke, you couldn't buy a replacement. A skilled craftsman had to manually shave down piece after piece until it fit. Pratt and Whitney envisioned an industrial world free of human error, a world where machines could cut metal so precisely that a part made in Connecticut would instantly snap into a machine built in Ohio without a single touch of a hand file. Driven by this vision, the duo made a risky move in 1854. They left their high-paying positions at Colt for lower daily wages at Phoenix Iron Works. The trade-off: Phoenix allowed them to run private side projects after hours. By 1860, working out of a cramped rented room by candlelight, Pratt and Whitney began building their first proprietary machinery. Ashes and war. Disaster struck almost immediately. In 1862, a catastrophic fire ripped through their small workshop, incinerating every blueprint, tool, and dollar they owned. Lesser men would have returned to corporate employment. Instead, Pratt and Whitney doubled down. Partnering with a fellow machinist named Monroe Stannard, they pooled together $3,600 and rebuilt as Pratt, Whitney and Company. Timing, as it turned out, was on their side. The outbreak of the American Civil War unleashed an insatiable demand for standardized weaponry. The Union Army needed hundreds of thousands of rifles, and they needed them immediately. Pratt and Whitney didn't manufacture the guns, they manufactured something far more lucrative: the machines that made the guns. Their breakthrough came with the Lincoln Miller, a revolutionary milling machine engineered with a smooth screw feed mechanism. Unlike older, jerky milling cutters, Pratt's design allowed even uneducated factory laborers to mass-produce complex metal components to an exact gauge. Over 7,000 Lincoln Millers flooded American factories, forming the backbone of mass production for bicycles, typewriters, and early cars. Simultaneously, they solved a deadly gunsmithing problem: drill bit drift. When drilling deep rifle barrels, bits naturally veered off-center, ruining the steel. Pratt and Whitney engineered a counter-rotating mechanism where the barrel and drill bits spun in opposite directions, canceling out the drift. The geometry was so flawless that top-tier modern custom barrel makers still hunt down and operate 100-year-old Pratt and Whitney drills today. Defining the inch. By the 1870s, Pratt and Whitney were exporting industrial equipment across Europe, Asia, and the Americas. But as their empire expanded, they hit an invisible, maddening wall. In the 19th century, a universal inch did not exist. A ruler in a German arsenal was slightly different from a ruler in a British factory, which differed from a ruler in Connecticut. This microscopic discrepancy ruined entire supply chains. Interchangeability was impossible if no one could agree on length. In 1879, Pratt and Whitney decided to solve this global crisis themselves. They hired William Rogers, a Harvard astronomer used to tracking interstellar distances, and George Bond, a brilliant mechanical engineer. Together, after 3 years of painstaking research, they unveiled the Rogers-Bond Comparator in 1882. This machine was a masterpiece of metrology. It could measure physical lengths down to 1/50,000th of an inch, 20 millionths of an inch, a fraction finer than a human hair. Pratt and Whitney didn't just build precise tools anymore. They became the supreme authority that defined what exact meant. They stamped 3 words on their equipment that became legendary: the standard of accuracy. In the decades that followed, they kept pushing the boundaries of physics. They mass-produced Hoke gauge blocks, ultra-polished steel rectangles so flat they fused together via molecular attraction. In 1921, they introduced the supermicrometer, bringing laboratory-grade precision directly onto dusty factory floors. The $250,000 gamble. By the early 1920s, the original founders were gone. Francis Pratt passed away in 1902, followed by Amos Whitney in 1920. The firm was absorbed into a massive conglomerate called Niles-Bement Pond. Then came the post-World War I industrial collapse. With government military contracts canceled overnight, the market was flooded with cheap surplus machinery. Pratt and Whitney was bleeding cash, staring at millions of square feet of silent, empty factory space. Enter Frederick Rentschler. In 1925, Rentschler, a brilliant aviation engineer, approached Niles-Bement Pond with an audacious proposal. He had designed a revolutionary 400-horsepower, air-cooled radial aircraft engine called the Wasp. He promised the U.S. Navy it would dominate the skies, but he lacked a factory, capital, and brand credibility. Desperate to monetize their empty facility, the board made the gamble of the century. 1, they lent Rentschler $250,000 in seed money. 2, they gave him access to their idle manufacturing floor. 3, they granted him permission to use their legendary trusted brand name, Pratt and Whitney. The gamble paid off and completely devoured its creator. The Wasp engine was an unprecedented success. By 1929, Rentschler's aviation venture was generating astronomical profits. He officially spun off the engine division into United Aircraft, the precursor to modern RTX or Pratt & Whitney. The bet saved the toolmaker from bankruptcy, but it erased its identity forever. From 1929 onward, whenever the world heard the name Pratt & Whitney, they pictured soaring fighter jets and commercial airliners. No one remembered the toolmakers who defined the inch. The true legacy. During World War II, the Pratt & Whitney Aircraft Division expanded into a colossus employing over 40,000 workers. Meanwhile, the original machine tool shop operated quietly in the background with fewer than 2,000 employees, weathering corporate buyouts, strikes, and conglomerate restructuring. Yet, history holds a quiet justice. In 2003, the Precision Measurement Division was carved back out into an independent entity, Pratt & Whitney Measurement Systems. Operating out of Connecticut today, it builds instruments accurate to 1/1,000,000th of an inch, keeping the founders' original mission alive. The world remembers Frederick Rentschler for taking Pratt and Whitney into the stratosphere, but the true foundation of the modern world was forged decades earlier on a cold factory floor in Hartford. Francis Pratt and Amos Whitney didn't just build machines, they created the modern industrial standard. Jet engines may carry their name across the sky, but the entire physical world still runs on the precision they invented. If you found this deep dive into complex industrial history valuable, hit that like button and subscribe to Framework Prime for more analytical breakdowns of the world's most powerful empires. Was Pratt and Whitney's shift into aviation a brilliant stroke of corporate survival or a tragic loss of an industrial identity? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching.